All right. With that being said, let's bring on the man of the weekend for sure, and I'm going to put my money on for the rest of the USBC Open championships. He has been plugging along, getting better every year on the PBA tour. A huge amount of talent, but joining us today with the potential for four, count them, four Eagles. Nick Crummel, how are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. How
You
about
feeling
you guys?
okay?
I'm
Yeah,
feeling all right. Still
yeah,
doesn't really set in yet, actually.
yeah.
I bet you'll be feeling good come August when regardless of the Eagles, but the check arrives for this event.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
So, for those who know, were you in any year-long brackets?
$1,000 a set.
Okay. So that's pretty
And
good then.
and I'm
A,
gonna
a
thank
little.
I'm gonna thank Cameron Doyle for that. He said he would split it with me, otherwise I wasn't gonna get in any.
No, I understand. I feel the same way about the year-long stuff. It's hard to commit that much money that you
For
don't
three
get any
months.
return on for quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's just talk about your week. You went to the Bowler's Journal to start with, and that's on the singles and doubles pattern for the people at home. How did
Which
that
is
go? What did you do?
hard.
Guessing as you were in the lead for a small part, you probably did throw a urethane ball because that seems to be the only way to win the Bowler's Journal. But go ahead.
Yeah, I went there to watch a lot of like my teammates and guys that were in my group at the 10:30 squad, and scores were really horrible, I guess, to say the least. Even with urethane, they did not look very easy. So then we went to lunch during the 12 or 12:30 squad, and then had a group bowl the 2:30 squad. And I was like, from what I know, urethane's really the only way to go because reactive looked terrible. Urethane didn't look great, but reactive looked even worse. So
yeah, and it wasn't from the same right of 10 like it's been the last few years either. Some people can play it for a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's much trickier.
yeah, I felt like on the pattern, whether it was the Bowler's Journal or singles and doubles, like you just had to control the first 20 feet. And when I say control, I mean it would take off if you were bad with it either way. So I ended up shooting 755, and nobody on the pair broke 560. So it was just and I could just throw it harder and over the front and it would not move. That was the way to go there. But it was shot 755 with 249s and a 4.6. So it could have even been more.
Yeah, no, definitely. So did you just stay in that pitch black the whole time then? Just trying to really control the pocket, really?
Yeah, I threw a phase 2 on a fill and it just did not look very good. And then I saw a couple other people try some balls and they just didn't look good either. So I was like, this or nothing. And a few pairs over was Alex Hoskins doing the opposite with urethane, slow wheeling it. And he obviously eventually passed me 30 seconds later.
Yeah, Alex does have a pretty unique skill set. There aren't that many people who can throw it quite as slow as he does and make it continue as much as he does. Definitely. So you were leading the Bowls Journal for about 2 or 3 minutes. Then you ended up second, and I think now you're third or fourth.
Third when I left.
Okay. I think it's still third. Somebody from Whitefish.
I called them Whitefish because I was teasing Keplinger about it, because not anything against them. It's just that all of Wichita's superstar team couldn't beat them, and I was all about it because I just thought it was great because I'm all about the underdog. When I see Whitewater, the kid, I don't even know whether it was one of the kids who bowled against Ryan, but he took the lead, so that was cool.
No, the guy who took the lead bowled 2 years with me. So we actually bowled a double set a couple sets before, and he gave me 6-12. So I'm gonna give him a little crap for that. And then he should
yeah, thanks, bro.
he said that the doubles didn't pay that well.
Yeah.
And
the
I
day
put 601 on him.
The day before he left, I made him drill that ball, the pitch black, because he wasn't even going to bring it. He was going to bring a different ball. I was like, you probably should not come without a pitch black. And he eventually drilled it, and now he's leading both events at the Bowl Show.
Okay, you come back in for
I-
team. Who do you bowl with? Who's in your group?
Nick Pate, Ryan Greenwood, Chris Wiley, and Zach Wolfel.
So has that been like your kind of group for a while?
I think it's been the same exact team for 4 years, 3 or 4
Okay.
years.
That's cool. Yeah. So as long as Nick doesn't get selfish and win a title, you're all good.
Yeah, we joked around then. We were a 10 pin away from not having that. So we would have had to replace him. I feel bad that he did 10 pin, but it's obviously sitting pretty good right now.
So when you went into team, what was your like team thought process? Are you one of the teams who really tries to all bowl in the same part of the lane, or you don't have to give away too many trade secrets? It's just more of
to be fair,
how you view it as a team.
We try to play somewhat similar, but as soon as probably eight or 9 frames go by, we're just like, it's a free for all. You got to get what you can. Doesn't mean go to 25 with the most surface you have, but we try to work together along with our companion group too, which is some more whitewater guys or whitefish guys or whatever you want to call them.
No, that's cool. I think quite a few years ago, maybe if you go back 10 or 15 years ago, I think because the balls flared a little less and I feel like the oil was a little more dominant, maybe. I felt like it was really important for guys to all play in a really similar part of the lane. I feel like now, with the way he does the patterns, if everybody plays in a really close part of the lane, you end up having to move so quickly and they get so cliff. So I was just fascinated as to whether you as a group, and you did what I thought, you're a bunch of good bowlers and you're just like, okay, let's just keep an eye on each other and just bowl. So interested to hear. Which balls did you end up using?
In team was pretty much all phase 2, and then I tried to switch to an exotic, and it didn't look great. It was great to the pocket. It just didn't look great to strike, and which is rare recently because I love that ball. But then I switched to a Zen, and that was pretty much what I threw the rest of the time for team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Zen and phase 2 have been 2 pretty popular choices at nationals the last few years.
Obviously, your gigantic paw gets it through the lane a little bit easier than
sometimes that's not great.
Old Man River, but yeah, in this case, non-PVA.
For some people,
oil machine.
I was about to say, for some people who've never seen Nick, imagine if Wolverine bowled.
You're like 6'4", 6'5",
6'4", yeah. That's what I go with.
Yeah. And he throws it like he's 6'4".
Yeah, I wish I didn't sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it seemed pretty good in Reno.
I do like bowling in Reno.
Did you make any brackets on the squad? Did you guys chop it up, or
just me and Pate usually chop it up? Our squad didn't have a ton of brackets this year. I don't know if that was just because of who was on the squad. Team wasn't completely full. There was probably 4 or 5 pairs open, but I did pretty good in brackets for how many I was in, but it was definitely the lowest that I've ever seen on our squads.
Yeah, your 2 o'clock squad had 4 empty pairs while we were told bowling at 9:30 that there was no place to move. So I was a big fan of that. Because we also had 7 a.m. the next morning, which they also couldn't move off of until like 2 weeks beforehand. So because the experience wouldn't be as good for the 9:30 guys if we moved to 2 o'clock.
Because they wouldn't be.
I guess the experience of getting 3.5 hours of sleep is better for the tournament.
Yeah. You didn't like that?
Seems well thought out, about as well as those PWBA press releases.
I'll be perfectly honest. In my experience of being at nationals, all I've ever heard from people on my squad is, "Oh, can you be on another fucking squad? I don't want to be on your squad for brackets." I've never heard anybody go, "Oh, it's so cool that you're on my squad," ever. Said nobody ever.
Maybe they just think he's going to be in all senior brackets, so they're not going to get to see him.
I guess.
They're not worried about me. I stay in my lane. Both senior brackets. Yeah, we don't go crazy.
Hey, they might ban the real life Wolverine at this rate.
Andy Warren said, if I start talking about the PWBA oil machines, they probably would.
Yeah. Hey, if I feel like me and you would be in a good spot if they went with lane 38's pattern just in general, I feel like we'd be in a good spot.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that.
Yeah. Having a 500 rev rate wouldn't be so important at that point. Moving on, you went to singles and doubles. What was the thought process with that other than, oh my God, these are hard, hit the head pin?
That was pretty much, there was no thought in throwing reactive, I think, on our pair. Everybody else had a couple people try it, and if they made it work, that was impressive, but I didn't see much there. So I'm not even sure anybody on my pair threw a reactive ball in practice. I think we all threw the pitch black.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
For doubles and singles, you said? Yeah. We tried to have a somewhat similar plan. Obviously, we have way less rev rate on my crew, but I was the only one that stayed in it. But we got 3-4 minutes of kind of rapid fire, trying to stretch it out as much as we could because they just looked gross if the middle of the lane stayed that flat.
yeah, I went and watched a little bit of the doubles and singles of Bill O'Neill's team, and it was about 4 or 5 frames into game one, and I watched and I was like, these guys are playing everywhere with everything. So it was, and just if you watch everywhere around, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody was playing.
Yeah, that was a great group to watch, I thought, because they had a pretty good run at it. And they had 2 guys using urethane right of 10, 2 guys arcing it from the track. Only 2 of one from each spot actually hitting the pocket.
Yeah, it was.
Bill and Jeff got out of it early and went to super slow, and Billy went to something medium, and then I think all of them were out of it after game one. And then I thought they were going to put a pretty good run on them, but then they didn't really shoot much in singles for what I thought they were going to do to them. But yeah.
So how long did you stay in the urethane for?
I stayed for all of doubles.
And then did you just basically change straight away for singles, or?
I threw it for 2 shots of singles and didn't like either one of those 2 shots. And then I switched to the Zen.
Okay. Did you need to make a pretty big move?
Yeah, we had a couple shots that were still trying to be like urethane, ended up going on the other side of the head pin, and just took a while to open the hips back up and actually throw it to the right. But we moved, and then it was like, oh, probably should move another arrow.
Yeah.
But we all got out of urethane at completely different times. There was a couple guys, I think the first guy switched about in the middle of game 2, and then game 3, and then me and Chris ended up switching in game 4. So it was just depending on how long you could keep it looking good, because once it started looking bad, you couldn't really do anything with it. It was either hooking and being at the head pin right away, or just going and missing the spot.
Yeah, I finished at like 17 in game 3 with it the last few shots, and it was hooking awfully early, and I was separating from the head pin a little bit more than I really wanted to, and so I got out of there pretty quick at the end of game 3. Our guys, one of them didn't make it out of practice, 2 didn't make it out of practice, and Knowlton made it to about the 5th frame or so, and he didn't like it, but
yeah,
it was interesting. It was better than the Bowler's Journal when I didn't throw it, but I felt pretty good about 660, and your scores are sick.
Yeah, they were definitely different than the Bowler's Journal, but I felt like where the oil was similar, they played definitely more, like, to me, they played a lot tighter in the Bowler's Journal, but it definitely depended on the squad.
Is the Bowler's Journal at the high end this year?
No, it's 1 through 12.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Because typically you're the Reno expert, Chris, but the high end is usually the tighter end, right?
Yeah, generally tighter and a little less similar lane to lane up there.
Yeah.
But
for me, I always feel like the high end it's like earlier and super lazy. And like when I'm bowling down the low end, like for me personally, whenever I bowl at Reno, it feels once I get down the low end, my ball skids more, and then I can control the hook down the lane, just in general.
Which pairs did you catch?
I think we were on 37 and 38 in team, and then 27 and 28 in singles and doubles. We were right next to the walkway in singles and doubles.
Wow. Yeah, historically, I wouldn't go, ooh, wow, you guys got a great break. Like 21-22 is a great catch. It just the rock just faced the wrong way. Other than that,
Yeah,
that bear's pretty good
normally though,
historically.
those GSX machines have some interesting racks sometimes.
Yeah, to be fair, they're impossible to keep on spot all the time, but
Yeah,
it is irritating when you need to stand on the lane to the right of you to see
yeah,
through them like you're supposed to.
Are they still doing the one re-rack thing as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like that'd be cool. I wish that putting them on spot doesn't mean looking from the top, and if the entire belly of the pin is over the spot that's actually this big, then that would be cool. But
yeah.
I could say Paul Henderson for our group bowled fantastic. He had 268, 268. I had a chance at 258 with 2 frames to go, and left a ring in 10, and then split in the 10th for 2 teams. But he didn't have any problems knocking them over, so it sounded like a me problem.
Terry's one of the guys who bowls in our group. He said, "I have never said that, Stu. I'm in the over 50s."
Yeah.
Couldn't care less if you were on my squad. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, any ladies out there looking for a good partner? Obviously, good on tougher lane patterns. He's got the hot hand right now. Call him. Okay. What's your plans for the rest of the year then? Just chilling out, St. Louis, bowl the local stuff, and see how it goes.
Pretty much any regionals around. I'm gonna try to get to some of those. I don't know, just call them super regionals that they came out with. Try to get to a couple of those, and then just see what happens. I would like to bowl definitely more national stuff next year once I can be more confident. I didn't want to go out there this year not practicing. I was like, get my face caved in just out there. So I just want to be ready next time I go out.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that much, but the super regional little tour that it was a national stop there a couple of years ago is kind of back on. You got Minster, you got Coldwater, they're back up at Chesapeake, and I'm missing one in between there somewhere.
I think they're playing another one in that area. Is it the one on the wood lanes? Up there.
Yeah, I believe there's 4 of them though, basically in back to back, and a pretty good setup. Obviously, I'm going to be on the 52, but great hosts, super friendly. And if you're within drivable distance, then super regionals are a good deal.
Okay, Nick. Thanks a bunch for joining us. Congratulations! What a amazing, just wild trip. Just if I was you, every day I'd just go on and update that thing where it says 3, 1, 1. Just so sick.
I don't want to go on there until like at least July. I think I'll drive myself crazy if I keep looking at scores. So.
We've had a few years where we were up there, and I'm a little more like you. I can't look every day because I just feel like I'm asking for somebody to come by and smack it around. I had the lead last year in all events, but it was like March, so I knew.
It's one reason I really don't want to go in March ever again. So, yeah, I don't like looking, because I'll just go down that rabbit hole of watching every squad or something. So I'll just.
Yeah, I know. PJ.
See, that's where Chad's looking out for you. So because you can't actually watch any of them bowl, you don't have to tune in for the last 5 frames and sweat out everybody's shot.
I think that they couldn't watch us bowl and break them down. Nobody knows how we broke them down now. So I appreciate that a little bit, I
guess. I get that you don't want to give up all the trade secrets, and like I said, they can know exactly what you did. There's still so relatively few people that can do that and still shoot that score. It's yeah.
They're hard. I know the scores that I put up don't make them seem that hard, but they're hard out there. Team event is easier than singles and doubles, and that was my lowest set. So
for reference, AJ Chapman had won 200 game in all 9. They're not Walt.
Yeah, and he was watching our squad, so I can tell you he watched what we did. So at least for about 4 or 5 games, he was there. So
I
don't, like I said, they're not easy. I mean, we made them look pretty easy in the end, but they were not easy to start. I can tell you that.
Congratulations. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll look forward to following you and seeing what.
This hasn't come out as big as I wanted it to, unfortunately. But I'll just read the people so they know. Just so they know. Nick went 276, 227, 220. in the team event. That was good for 723. And then in doubles, he shot 39, 26, 59. That was good for 724. And then in singles, he managed to bowl 268. Bearing in mind, he probably had a couple of frames where he had to.
He switched balls in the third.
Ball,
yeah.
280, 247 for 795, 2242. So, yeah. Congratulations. God damn.
It was fun. I'll say that. It was fun.
Yeah,
All right.
I bet so.
Thanks for joining us, Nick. We're
Hey,
gonna
guys.
have a chat about Chris's experiences on the practice session over at the Senior Masters, and then we'll probably cut the show a little short today. Chris's have randoms walking back and forth behind him. It's fun.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, man.
All right,
Take care.
thanks.
I'll see you later.
Appreciate it.
Bye. So there we go. Nick Crummell. Good God. That was a lot of striking on something that's not very easy.
I thought Derek Ove had a legit shot at winning with 2150. I didn't think he was going to struggle. It seemed like that was plenty of score, and he ran by it by 75. It's wild.
Yeah, and Jeff Riggles, I know that like he covers it a lot and he watches it a lot, and he's pretty much one of the people who's most into the Nationals. He ranked Bill's chances of winning both Eagles at about 90%.
Huh.
And they lost by 350.
Yeah.
In team all events.
Yeah, it was.
That's kind of insane.
They bowled well. They had a really good team, and they played them. They had a strategy, and they made it work. And what those guys did is crazy. That's just a monster set. Now the team event where they shot 35, that's sheesh.
Yeah, the things to me, that's an insanely high score. But given what we've seen in the team event, that to me seems plausible because there's people shooting big scores in the team event.
Yeah.
The singles and doubles numbers are just like people are just shooting nothing in singles and doubles. So
yeah, Dino had one good game and then had another one later on, but basically, and he had it pretty good compared to most.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane the way those scores are. Let's quickly talk about what you use so that the common man can relate.
I have some power issues coming. Computer here. Yeah, I started out in the team event. Let's see, what did I use? I did try a Summit for a little bit. I end up with an Absolute and not really hooking it a whole lot, like 12, 13 to kind of pushing it up the lane in the track. Went left with that from there to 17, 18. It got stuck a little bit. I felt like there was a little speed bump at 25. And the more rev rate you had, Joe Findling and I had a lot more hook in that spot than most people did.
When you say 25, do you mean 25 feet?
25 feet, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They just wanted to pick up right there and get offline. And the guys that we had, they were softer handed, went right through that space clean and really had really good ball reaction. And we got forced left and trying not to move left too fast. That's where that second game I got in trouble. I needed to actually move quite a bit. Not necessarily with my eyes so much, just my feet to get it going, get it through that spot. So doubles and singles, I tried urethane. I started 8-9 for first game. The second game I went slower and moved into 12-13 and arced it through there. And then by the end, I tried to move back a little firmer in the middle, and that was no good. There's so much oil down lane, man. It feels like there's a lot of oil at the back of the pattern. So I had to stay slow, but then I ended up almost at 16, 17 at the end of doubles. And that was getting to where it didn't seem like that was going to pay off too many dividends, trying to make urethane hook down lane with that much oil down lane too.
So then you just went to quicker balls from that moment?
Yeah, I went to an Absolute for a little bit, and I went to an X2 fairly quickly. Used some rotation to spin it through the front, because then we had plenty of oil down lane. And the good news is that, again, guys that play a little bit not super high rev rates and didn't use big angles, and so you can kind of go around the carry down. And they were playable. I felt pretty good about 660, 660, but I certainly gave away probably 40 pins in spares and between spares and bad shots in some spots, probably in each set. But that being said, 700 was probably where I got topped out at, and Nick shot 1,500.
Yeah, so it was good that because I feel like I talked you into that X2 for
Yeah.
taking it with you.
I literally drilled it. I had Ryan lay it out an hour before I left for the airport, and it was absolutely a good call. It fit in that kind of dry angular piece. I really didn't think I was going to end up throwing that, or they absolutely did all based off of what I saw. And I threw 2/3 of the games with those two balls. If you carry them down a little bit, both patterns get playable, and you need some balls that actually make the corner. They can't be super smooth after a while.
I do feel like that for some people, you get a little bit too much into, I've got to have smooth balls, got to have smooth balls, got to have smooth balls. And you end up in a situation where the ones that are smooth earlier actually end up being more uncontrollable because the part of the lane where they read isn't that easy. So if you get a ball that will get through that part of the lane, it ends up looking a little smoother overall and much more controllable because you get past the part of the lane that's shitty.
I thought the 2-inch pin that I drove was going to be in play a lot, and it was almost unusable. It went down the lane twice in practice, and both times I got offline in the front lane so fast that it wasn't going to hook down lane anyway. That was the point, but you couldn't get to it. It didn't necessarily hook in the heads, but it just didn't hook off the mid lane the way I needed it to at all. So
this show brought to you by Manscaped. Smooth balls. Real quick, Senior Masters this week, not using the Masters pattern and the Queens, which was basically the same thing.
But they might.
What you've used in the past, I guess.
A little shorter, actually. They've been in the 42-foot range the last few years. This is 39 feet, 31 mils. So the ball skates through the front pretty easy, even on an older HPL surface. Gem looked pretty good. Gem, $1 Infinite, Summit, Duo looks pretty good. And then you go down to Revenant, X2, and Hustle Wine kind of thing. And we bowl on them all day.
Yeah.
But it looks like you can get them to 7, 8. You can get it to actually 2, 3 early. So the lane's not going to get terribly beat up, I don't think. And they're good enough that I don't think there's going to be a ton of urethane. There might be on the left. You can throw it, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of it.
I mean, I've spoken to a couple of guys who like their look with the urethane. So I think a bunch of guys, they want to do that regardless. There's obviously less in the seniors than in when we bowl. But
there's way less guys with enough hand, and so most of them have to shim it if they do it and versus hook it. But I think it's good. I just don't know why I would throw it over a reactive ball with what I think the scoring pace could be or should be. So I'll go down there from here. They started about a half hour ago and get an idea of what things look like. There's Lenny and Walter Ray and some guys. Angelo were on that A squad, so they'll set the tone, I think, for the strategies probably for the week.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Did you say you were about to run out of power?
Yep. I'm very close.
Okay. From what I've seen so far, the Summit, to me, it looks like going to fit in that kind of gap, symmetrical version of one of the big asymmetrical balls. So if you're using like Gem Reality on the fresh, but it's not really creating the shape you want, like through the pins or whatever, I think this will be a good complement to those.
Yeah, the one that I did for the video, and that's on Beef and Barnzy on YouTube. I'm letting that lane shine up, and it's starting to look pretty lane shiny. It's still my second biggest ball here. So I can let it shine up and get to a third down, perhaps, and use something with more surface. But I'm going to drill one that's a lower pin and put more surface on it and let that be more of an axiom and let this be a little bit stronger phase 2. Is kind of where I see it fit as a shiny ball. Saw a few of them go down the lane. They showed up here, so guys are drilling them. I imagine a lot will go down the lane today.
Yeah, like I say, Ryan used it this weekend. He got himself into a little bit of trouble when he tried to use it on the transition. It was exactly what we were talking about nationals and needed a cleaner ball. He got into that where it actually created more over-under. But the next day he came and his reality didn't look as good at the low end as it had done at the high end. And he got into the Summit, and that gave him a really good, similar shape to his reality, just more
cleaner,
rounded.
Symmetrical.
Yeah, symmetrical. I just drilled another one this morning to do a up versus down video. I'm gonna try and lean into it a little bit. Seems like it's been pretty popular on the videos. I've got a sport shot comparison video done. I'm gonna do an up versus down. I'm gonna do a shiny versus dull kind of scenario to try and trying to get some content out there for you guys to make a choice on the summit. Yeah, I think that it's probably about time to let you go before you run out of power.
Yeah, probably so. Congratulations on finishing second there. I was proud of my kid. I was struggling a little bit, but doubling in the 10th to get out of one of those matches, and then you put the backpack on and tried to carry the gang to the title after that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, our match in the semifinal was one of the most bizarre things. It was very easy to have got frustrated because the other team was pretty lucky for a few frames. But having said that, they beat us by about 300, so they had every right to be lucky in the match. And we were born with Joe, and Joe's seen everything and done everything there is to do in those sorts of tournaments. And like I just said to Ryan, I go, look, they're supposed to get the breaks. They led by miles. It's supposed to be hard for us to beat them. And we just kept making strikes, and eventually, like, they just couldn't. Just wasn't a great pair for them. Billy Rogers, right-hander, he looked good in practice, and me and Ryan got a little bit on top of him. And I can throw it a little slower than Billy can, and Ryan's rev rate's obviously monstrous. We got the lanes to transition a little bit, and he got a bit of over-under, and then towards the end of the game, I mean,
you guys finished that game really strong, and they fell off and turned a very close game into not a very close game.
Yeah, I think we all opened the 10th and we still won by 50 or something.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It was an early morning here in Las Vegas. Went to see Mystere last night. Good show.
That's cool.
Makes the wife happy. And it was a lot of fun bowling with Linda and Troy at Nationals. Troy's first Nationals was a bit of a struggle, but eyes wide open now. And I think he's looking forward to next time and come at it a little differently. But she shot 50 over with a 150, 170, 170 start to each set. Once she got a little comfortable and got her legs underneath her, she bowled good in all of them. Maybe somebody needs somebody to step in the diamond division in the Nationals on the women's side this week. She's still got some bowling balls. She can pop over there and throw some shots. And until next time, Stu's we'll see about Thursday, but if nothing else.
Yeah, we might have a collab going on Thursday for the show, focusing in on the summit. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, sounds good.
All right. Until next time, please support the sponsors and support us. Storm, Roto Grip, Niner Global, Cool Wick, Bowlers Mart, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later, guys.